Well, the hits keep on coming for President Obama. The latest bombshell word that the National Security Agency is tracking every move you make with your phone calls, maybe online, all in the name of national security. Now, this on top of the news that our government is secretly keeping tabs the phone calls of millions of Verizon users. So far, the president's approval ratings, though, are holding fairly steady, roughly half and half. Take a look at this Wall Street Journal NBC News poll. 48% say he's doing a good job. 47% say he is not. But does this number really matter given all of these simultaneous scandals, and you really need a calculator to keep up with those? Let's bring in our political insiders. John LeBoutillier, former Republican congressman for New York; Pat Caddell, Fox News contributor, former pollster for President Jimmy Carter; and in our Miami bureau, Doug Schoen. He too is a Fox News contributor and former pollster for Bill Clinton. Try to stay dry there, Doug. I know it's
I will.
You know, it's a little inclement. Hey, listen, let me start with you. Given all of these scandals, but given that the president's approval ratings are kind of holding steady, what do you make of that?
Well, let's be clear, Greg. This is an administration and a presidency that is in crisis. You have three huge issues. You have the NSA issue that broke this week, the phone records. You have three scandals with the IRS, the Justice Department. You also have an agenda that basically is dead in the water. This is a presidency that is effectively at a tipping point, and I believe that the approval rating is much more likely to go down, and perhaps down substantially, than it is to go up.
Pat, you were looking at some new poll numbers that just came out, and, you know, the American public is dead set against these NSA programs.
Let me tell you something. What we have is a political class in Washington, that whole bubble down there, all saying, oh, people care about security, they don't care about their, you know, their privacy. Wrong. Overwhelming. Rasmussen released this morning, 26% favor, 59% opposed. Get this, people who they identify as mainstream Americans, 69% against. In the political class, 71% for. The American people are going, this is outrageous. But Doug's point is right. You look at what's happening to the president, is the movement of Democrats and independents that are starting to happen, which is beginning to move him down. And it will continue to erode as more of these things affect people.
I think it's more than just he's going to erode, Pat. It's what we've been talking about. I think the entire political establishment, Republicans and Democrats, who've been in favor of these types of programs, I think it's going to divide the American people versus their government more than we've seen maybe ever.
Is this a Titanic sinking moment? I think you have said that.
You mean the iceberg?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, the term we've all used is we've been in a pre-revolutionary moment when the public is looking for something different.
Yeah, and let me just say, it's not Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal. It is the country out here against that Washington political class, and the NSA scandal shows that when you see the arrangement, it's broken all party lines.
Let me run through three polls all in a row, and let's begin with the Wall Street Journal NBC News poll, because what's striking about the independents here, the independent approval rating on the president has dropped 13 points, and you know, independents are really key in any election. Let's move forward to the next poll. The government is out of control. This is our Fox News poll, and look at that. Almost 70% say government is way out of control. Put up the Rasmussen poll on individual rights, and look at this. Down a whopping 20.5 points among Democrats, and that's in just the last 6 months. Now, you're a pollster, Doug, so put these in perspective for us.
Well, Pat and John are exactly right, Greg. This is a country that is beginning to turn en masse against the president. They see basic rights being usurped. They hold the president and the administration accountable. And they basically are saying, what has happened to my government? What's happened to my country? My basic freedoms, my basic rights are being eroded.
And after the NSA news broke, I fell out of my chair when I read the editorial, and I hurt my elbow. I read the New York Times editorial. Biggest cheerleaders of President Obama over the course of the last 5 or 6 years. And here's their editorial. Let's put it up on the screen. The administration has now lost all credibility. Mr. Obama is proving the truism that the executive will use any power it is given and very likely abuse it.
And by the way, and then look at the Wall Street Journal, normally a critic of Obama, supporting this.
Great program.
This is a great program. We're all for it. This is what I call the tipping point, the crisis in American politics. But let me tell you this. The American people know, hey, I'm a Verizon customer, not just my records.
Right.
I guarantee you AT&T customers, everyone else, they're picking up all this information. The public's going, what are you doing? You're picking up our internet? They're not building, the conspiracy nuts are going to be right. They're not building that place in Utah for nothing.
Sure.
And it offends Americans in a way that the power structure and the status in Washington and both parties don't understand.
And what's happened, 9/11 gave the government this excuse to hide behind national security and erect these barriers that we can't cross if we try. Now, this guy Snowden, who released this stuff, sees himself as a hero for exposing it, and many people will agree with him.
Well, he's going to get prosecuted, I guarantee you that.
Well,
he's not a whistleblower under the Whistleblower Act. You just look it up and read it, and you'll say, oh, he's not a whistleblower.
But the point is, the old axiom, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Since 9/11,
Lord
the
Acton.
federal government on national security and intelligence issues has had absolute power where we, the people, cannot contest it.
Doug, I've always said that the term honest politician is an oxymoron. And the Wall Street Journal NBC News poll is proving me correct. Let's put this one up. Independents who believe the president is honest and straightforward, that is down 18 points since January. And let's go forward to the next Wall Street Journal poll. 55% question the administration's honesty and integrity. I mean, it just keeps getting worse and worse, doesn't it, Doug?
Yeah, it does. And Greg, let's dive into the numbers for just a second. This is a president who has managed to maintain his popularity based on likability and credibility. He may well have some likability left, though that's eroding, but his credibility, as those numbers show, is effectively gone, and that's hugely important.
You're also a pollster, Pat, and so let's refer to the next three polls. The honesty and integrity of the IRS probe. Bad numbers here for the president, 55%, just don't think he's honest about it. The DOJ, pretty much the same thing. They have even worse doubts, 58%. And then, of course, the Benghazi attacks. Essentially, they think the Obama administration and the president are lying.
And they think they're lying. People are saying that there was a new poll by this weekend saying that people believe in Benghazi, for instance. But the CBS, New York Times poll, a huge majority, 20-point majority, say they're hiding something rather than telling the truth. The belief of the public that the IRS thing was run, that this was a White House operation, a political operation, is high. Everything. The public, as I said to you, is way out of the politicians, and they have decided that these things are being managed against them.
On Benghazi and the IRS. They are both at the moment being investigated by one and the same committee in the House, Government Oversight, with one chairman, Congressman Issa. It's not right. These are separate scandals. Sure. They should not both be in the same committee. We all think they should each have a select committee named to investigate them from top to bottom.
Then Congress wouldn't have anything else to do. I mean, they'd be so knee-deep in investigating scandals, they wouldn't be able to do anything else. All right, gentlemen, you're going to stick around more on the White House under increasing fire from a host of scandals, including the terror attack in Benghazi. Take a look at the CBS News poll. A majority of Americans believe the administration is mostly hiding something regarding the terror attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi. So let's bring them back in. John LeBoutillier, Pat Caddell, Doug Schoen, who is in Miami today, our political insiders. And Doug, on Benghazi, this may turn out to be the sleeper because only the tip of the iceberg has been revealed so far. The vast majority of people who have knowledge of it have yet to be questioned. We don't even know, and Congress doesn't even know, their names for the most part, right? So this thing could really escalate, Benghazi.
Well, that's exactly right. And as Pat has said in the past, and he's right, the Watergate scandal took a while, about a year and a half, to fully play out. Benghazi has more unanswered questions. Where did the talking points come from? What did the president, the secretary of state, what did they know? When did they know it? Who did they talk to? And as you suggest quite rightly, Greg, what did the survivors see? What did they hear? What did they know? What's their reaction? These are questions we have to get answers to. So far, no dice.
And you know, Susan Rice
Yeah.
is given a promotion. I mean, here she is out there peddling a lie. It may not have been her lie, but she's out selling a lie. And she gets a brand new promotion to be the national security advisor.
This was let me tell you what was going on here, and Doug is absolutely right. By the way, it is Benghazi, according to the Journal poll, that is most effective. People see Obama personally most involved.
Right.
That's the danger of it. But here we have the president basically putting his finger in people's eye, saying, screw you people. I would use another expletive if we weren't a family network. But basically, by promoting Susan Rice, who was either incompetent, too incompetent to be NSC director, if she didn't know what she was doing with the video statement, or she was a conspirator, Tom Donilon took a way out for one reason, because he sees the water coming and he is a survivor, and because he's the guy both on the leaks, on the Sussex leaks, and on Benghazi, who could be called.
John, you listen to Jay Carney, the White House press secretary. He extols the brilliance of Susan Rice as the foremost in her field.
Yeah, well,
the field of cover.
What else do I expect? You know, I think that the point on the evacuees who were evacuated after Benghazi, I believe over 24 CIA personnel that were in Benghazi. Now, the president today could order that they be allowed to talk to Congress. We could find out the truth and put this thing behind us.
Right.
The fact that he hasn't done it 7-8 months later, they are hiding something.
The other scandal that really hit hard this week, the Obama administration, was the two, and I think we can call them whistleblowers in the Cincinnati office of the IRS, who basically said, are you kidding? We didn't invent this whole thing, the targeting of conservative groups and Tea Party groups. It came directly from Washington. They told committee lawyers on Capitol Hill names. They gave names. Let's put up on the screen the Gallup poll. Were high-ranking IRS officials aware? Almost 60% say, of course they were. Doug?
Well, look, Greg, we have a couple of huge issues. First, who ordered this unprecedented look at conservative groups? We don't know. I strongly suspect, as the American people do, it was high-ranking IRS people. The other thing, Greg, and you're alluding to it, is you had Douglas Shulman, the then director of the IRS, in the White House, what was it, 157, 158 times?
Yeah.
And he met with Stephanie Cutter, deputy campaign manager. You don't have campaign managers meeting with IRS officials without those at the highest levels of the White House.
So it makes it political inherently. Gentlemen, we got to leave it at that. Doug Schoen, Pat Caddell, John LeBoutillier, our political insiders, thanks so much. You can get more from the insiders each and every Monday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, live.foxnews.com. They'll be back here next Sunday. You can also follow them on Twitter at FN Insiders, and we'll be right back.